Welcome back to the Fishing for a Reason podcast. It's great to be back with you guys here this week. We just got back. You might have noticed that this is published a little later than usual. We just returned from a trip summiting Mount Shasta. So literally just walked in the door. Yeah. Just now. So we are sharing a little bit about some of our journey and also going to talk to you about pink salmon today. But before we get into that, I would love to know from those of you that are tuning in, we've done a few podcasts outside of the scope of Puget Sound and fishing and the San Juan Islands, like the John Muir Trail podcast. We also talked about a trip over on the Great Loop with my parents. They did that Great Loop a few episodes ago. So if you're interested in adventures like what it's like to climb your very first mountain, Mount Shasta, second mountain. We did Mount Whitney, but this was a bigger mountain. This was a harder mountain. Yes, way harder. We learned a lot. And I think it would make a great episode, but I want to know, are you guys interested in hearing about something like that? It's not fishing. So if you are interested, shoot me an email or drop a comment on this. Let us know. Yes, you want to hear the Shasta story. We absolutely will be happy to share it with you. We do other things, like I did a paddle trip down the Green River backcountry from a kayak. That's interesting as well. If you want to hear some other fun stories, let us know and we will create that content for you guys. So as we get started today, I also want to let you know we have something really exciting coming up. Besides the fact that salmon season is opening, on July 11th, we are hosting our one and only Salmon School for the year. And do you want to tell them a little bit about what it is?
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Hey, we're going to get together with a bunch of people. There's going to be some people from other classes. We're going to do a few hours of classroom instruction. We're going to have gear on hand. We're going to talk about the upcoming season. We're going to have Sonar Steve come in and he's going to talk about sonar and tell you how to find those fish with your Garmin electronics or any of your electronics that you've got. And yeah, it's usually it's a fun time. So July 11, 8 to 1.
Right now we do have a few seats still available. So if you want access to purchase a ticket to that class, just email us at support@anglersunlimited.co. That's .co, support@anglersunlimited.co, and just put in the subject line Salmon School. You will also have an opportunity to book a charter in class. So we give a heavy discount to those that are students of ours to get out and actually practice fishing, because if you're brand new to salmon fishing, you can see all the things, touch all the things, but getting out on the water and actually doing it with someone awesome makes it so much easier when you're out on your boat to physically see it. So that'll be a good opportunity for you guys as well, if that's something you're interested in, especially if you're brand new to salmon fishing. So it is designed as a beginner's course. But we're going to talk about pink salmon today, because we have an opportunity to actually target these guys. So as we dive into that, we're going to talk a little bit about the introduction to pink salmon and their biology and life cycle, and why it's so much fun to catch these guys.
It's a lot of fun. And let's talk about seasons, first of all. And fishing reports, we slowed down since we've been gone for a week. Halibut, the dogfish really moved in the last couple of weeks. You know, obviously Lingcod shut down the 15th, so not a lot happening. We're gearing up for crab, though.
Halibut closed yesterday.
If anybody went out the last week, I'd like to hear if you had any success or if it was just a ton of dogfish. But that's where we're at. The oceans have opened up for salmon. Been seeing some fish caught up north in Canada that look pretty nice, and out at Nia Bay as well. So hopefully that season is off and running strong, and I think it is. So should be fun. But for the upcoming season, as Area 7, we've got July 17 through 19. Kings in Area 7, you're allowed to keep 2 additional pinks. So you can have no more than 2 fish plus 2 additional pinks. You can have a hatchery clipped king and a hatchery clipped coho and 2 pinks, or 4 pinks if you want to do that route. But we'll talk more about pinks as we get on. And then Area 6 is actually opened up as well right now. So you can go out and fish pinks. And if you're west of Edda's Hook, you can fish for kings out there right now. I haven't heard anybody. I know some people that usually go out there. We have not gotten any reports, though. So if you got reports from the Area 6 opener, let us know how it's going.
Awesome. Yeah. And actually, this topic was emailed in to us as a topic to touch on, was the fact that, hey, we just want to fish for something, pinks actually are open right now, not too far from our home waters. So talk about where we can actually target them, what it's like targeting them. And so that's what we're going to cover today. A little bit of their biology and life cycle too, because they're a pretty interesting fish. And so I'll just dive into the pink salmon life cycle first and foremost. So to get started, if you're not aware, there are 5 different species of salmon in the Pacific Northwest. We've got our king salmon, we've got chum, we've got coho, we've got pink salmon, and we've got the sockeye salmon. So we're going to talk about pink salmon because every other year, typically on every odd year, Scott will touch a little bit more on that detail here in a minute, but every odd year we get a run of pink salmon back. And pinks are the smaller, so they're not the smallest. Sockeye are your smallest species. Pinks are still pretty small. They average between 3 to 5 pounds, and then their average length is between 20 to 25 inches. And these guys are quick. They spawn in the rivers. They go out to sea quickly. They aren't going to be hanging out in the freshwater for very long or in the estuaries. They're going to go out to the ocean, and then they're going to return within 2 years and come back and spawn. And what's so cool about these guys is I believe there is one hatchery, which we'll talk about a little bit later, that does raise a very small number of pink salmon. But for the most part, all these runs are completely wild and they're massively abundant. They're one of the most abundantly natural spawning runs of salmon that we have here in the Pacific Northwest. And you may have heard the term humpie. That's because as these guys come up the rivers to spawn, even when you catch them out here on the salt, you'll see this like humpback on the back, especially of the males. And that's how they get that name humpies. And once they're upriver, that hump becomes a lot more pronounced and a lot more obvious. But these guys do have the shortest lifespan of all the Pacific salmon. Like I said, just 2 years. These guys are going to be feeding primarily on small fish, crustaceans, aquatic insects, and squid. And that's why you want to match what you're using to target them to bait fish. The crustaceans that pink salmon are consuming is actually what gives them that pinkish color in their flesh. You are what you eat. It's just a true statement.
Yeah, and when you open these things up, you can usually tell right away that it's a pink just because of the color of the meat. The other thing you want to be able to do is identify a pink salmon. So to do that, the easiest way to tell, Jamie's going to pull up the sheet here. I usually tell people that the tail of a pink salmon, the spots on the tail, they almost look like they're out of focus. They're bigger than what's on a king and they're out of focus. They'll look a little bit like a king with blackish mouth and tongue and then spots all over the tail. They won't be clipped, and then the tail will have the large oval out of focus spots. And the scales on these things are really tiny. They're like, once you get one on the deck, you'll see the little tiny scales flaking off all over the place, and they're just tiny, like pinpoint almost size.
And we'll do a quick share screen here, and you can see this is actually in last year's booklet, but every booklet has a salmon ID card inside of it. So make sure you pop that open and find it and have it open while you're actually fishing. So Scott can actually talk through what he's explaining to you here.
Yeah, so you can see on the king salmon on the very top picture there, it's probably hard to see in the picture, but top and bottom, you'll have spots and they're really tiny and pinpoint and really focused. And then if you go down to the pink, which is right here, you can see how the tail is got bigger spots and they're, like I said, just out of focus. So let's see if we can scroll down here and get another picture, close up. And yeah, oh, this is a good look at it right here on the right, the third window pane on the right. You see the out of focus, large spots, white gum, black tongue. So the mouth is a little bit wider than a king, if you can notice that right away. But really, once you see the tail, the difference in the tail spots, I think that'll be the giveaway. So look for those big oval spots. And we went over the rules and regs already a little bit. So Jamie was going to do that again. She called yesterday, WDFW, to verify. The book was supposed to publish today. They still got 24-25 on the website. So don't panic when you see 18 to 20 for area 7 in there. It is 17, 18, 19 this year. And the book will be out, I'm assuming today or tomorrow. It's just the way the publishing and the rules come out and everything. It's hard for them to get the book out on the website and get it printed and stuff.
Yep. So always make sure when you are checking the rules and regs, July 1st is technically the official published date of the new book. It's also going to be updated on the app. And so if you check before that, it's wrong, which is what we were doing. And I was under the assumption that the app would have been more up to date. It is only as up to date as the published booklet. So be aware of that when you are planning your salmon trips, that if you are looking at dates previous to June 30th, that you're going to want to go off of the proposed salmon.
The North of Falcon proposed salmon fisheries, and I'm pretty sure have been approved, been signed
Right
by the
here.
governor.
Here it is. So I'll share my screen, and you got to go to this. If you Google WDFW proposed fisheries, that's going to have the most up-to-date information of what most likely will be published and official. And so this list of agreed fisheries right here, 25-2026, that's where you're going to view that. So if you're looking to figure out the salmon season for next year, you got to wait till after North of Falcon completes, which I believe is April-ish.
It was, April. So anyway, we talked about these pinks this year, right? So everybody's talking about how many pinks are coming back, 7.6 million, almost 8 million fish. So that's why it's exciting, because you're going to go out there and you'll be catching these things like crazy. But one thing to think about is, where are you going to go fish for them? And that was the question that came out in Area 6. Where are you going to go fish for them? Where are you going to fish for them in Area 7? And one thing to start with is, like, where are they coming from and where are they going to? So 7.6 million fish for Puget Sound. That's the estimate. We're going to show you SalmonScape here. And if you have seen some of the things we do before, we've done SalmonScape before, and we'll go fish distribution, and we'll look at pink salmon odd year, because that's what it is. And all of these rivers that you see that are blue, that is documented. You can look at the legend here, and it tells you that's documented presence for pink salmon. So the most pink salmon that are coming back, 2.5 million, they are going to Hood Canal. They're going to go down into Hood Canal. So anybody fishing down there off the banks, if you can do that, I think you can. That should be exciting. And then the other big rivers that are going to get the brunt of the salmon, the Nisqually down by Olympia, and then the Puyallup in the Green River down in Tacoma area. We can look at the numbers and tell you 1.8 going to the Green River, 1.5 going to the Nisqually, Hood Canal 2.4. And Jamie mentioned that there are hatchery pinks made in Washington, and Hood Canal, there's a hatchery that makes 6,400 pinks this year. So that's where that number comes from. So up at north here in Puget Sound, or the Salish Sea and San Juan Islands, we've got 468,000 going back to the Skagit River right here. So down here, if you're familiar with Fur Island and the Skagit River going out through Mount Vernon, that's a pretty good return. The Stilly's got 117,000, Snohomish 315,000. So all these fish in the past, most of them, it seems like they'll come right through Deception Pass here, and then they'll swim down. And I've had crazy days of fishing for these things up here by Alaspit, down here by Deguala Bay, in literally like 20 feet of water. These fish will just be pulling up, getting ready to go up the river. So they'll be pretty easy to catch, and we're going to talk about how to catch them here in a little bit. But that's just to look at the run sizes. So that's a SalmonScape and where they're all going. And the numbers are straight off of WDFW estimates. And that's why it's going to be a fun year. So how are you catching these things? If you're fishing for king salmon, you're probably going to catch them. If you're fishing for coho salmon, you're going to catch them. If you're catching for pinks, you're going to catch them. You're going to catch them with anything. They will hit everything. And if you really want a king, you'll probably have to sort through a bunch of pinks to get to the kings. But keep at it. Go deeper. Try to get down deeper faster if you can to get kings. Yeah. If you want just pinks, it's a lot of fun just to go out and cast buzz bombs or the pink rotators that you see. The shelves are just thick with them right now. And I have to say, all the time, really, the smaller the gear, the funner it is. It's kind of like fishing for lingcod. If you catch them on smaller gear, it's a lot more fun. So taking the kids out and casting off the side of the boat with a really light, like a trout rod with 10, 12 pound test is a lot of fun. And then the lures, like I said, pink buzz bomb, you can buy 5 of those things and probably catch all the fish you need all year.
Yeah. Or even just the regular, whatever you use for targeting kinks, coho killers. People
Yep.
say the smaller the lure, the smaller the fish. It's just, you can catch these pinks on big old plugs too. They'll hit anything.
You'll catch them if you're out there.
Yep.
But some of the places that we're going to fish, if you're not fishing off the bank, Deception Pass 8-1, you can fish that. But let's look at deep zoom for a second. And you want to type in deep zoom over here? And I'll show you the area 7, area 6. So area 7, you can't go wrong ever by going to Eagle Point. So between Salmon Bank and Eagle Point, this will just be filled up with pink salmon this year up in here. We catch a lot, like I said, Deception Pass all through here off the banks. Around the Ala Spit, around here to Guala Bay. And then West Beach, there'll be pink salmon coming out in here, and you can catch coho out here as well. It's a pretty good coho spot. So that's the spots that I would target around here. Reef Point is a pretty popular place, especially for the King Opener, July 17. You'll see a bunch of boats out here, and then there'll be pinks showing up there as well. So that would be my big spots if I was just going to go out and, play around with even fly gear. Take a fly rod out and catch some pinks on a big pink fly, big pink or red woolly booger, but they'll be all through there. There is a closure area, I think is still in effect here in area 7. You got to watch out for that. But once you get across that line at Salmon Bank, you can just kill them. Area 6, I would probably go down to Eastern Bank. If I wanted to fish for pinks down out in area 6, I would go out there. I would imagine Possession or Partridge will be a great place to catch some pinks this year. But really, I haven't gone down that far. Smith Island, somebody asked about Smith Island. You can get into area 6 across the line at Smith Island too. And I think, like I said, I think West Beach will be a good spot because all those fish will be going back up to the Skagit River. So if you think about that line from Smith Island to the Deception to the Northwest Treaty Sign or whatever it is there on Fidalgo Island, this is all area 6 right in here. So that would be all good spots.
And just to paint a little bit of a picture, pink salmon, if you have kiddos, this is the time to take your kids fishing. There's no better way to ruin a kid's experience when it's just really slow and really boring and you can't touch anything because everything's sharp on the boat. So if you've got kiddos and maybe it's their first year that they're old enough to get out and really have some fun reeling in fish, this is the year to do it because it's action packed. And so it's really fun, especially for those new anglers, to get out there and just have success. Even adults that have never had success catching fish, it'll blow their mind reeling in their first salmon, even if it's a pink salmon. So highly recommend, bring your friends and family out or any kiddos that you want to get excited about the sport of fishing. This is the year to do it. It's an absolute blast. And like Scott said, anywhere that we fish, you can get pinks pretty much. You'll have a harder time keeping them off the hook, but that's half the fun too. So It's a blast. And one other thing that we wanted to touch on related to pink salmon is, now that you caught them, because you have so many of them, how do you cook them? My personal favorite way to process and cook pink salmon, number one, they're great on the grill, especially if you do them fresh, just like all the fish. Fillet them up, cook them that day, and then you're going to have your best, most delicious experience. In my opinion, they do not freeze up as well as some of the other species of salmon. So primarily, if we have leftover fillets of pinks, we're going to smoke them. They make great smoked fish. So throw them in the brine. So you can put a whole bunch of them on the smoker and delight your friends and family with that as well. How about you?
I think, and before you even fillet them, I would get them cleaned on the boat and put them on ice. So gut them, then go ahead and bleed it, get the gills and the guts out of it and get it on ice pretty quickly. And I think they really taste pretty good, especially BGE with a little bit of smoke.
Big green egg. We call it BGE.
Big green egg or whatever you're using for your lump charcoal vessel. Yeah, put it on the grill, get some smoke on them, and they're really pretty good the first day.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yep. So get out there, have some fun, and start fishing. We cannot wait to get your guys' reports. So if you, we have a little contest. Pink
yeah.
salmon contest.
Yeah, we want the first picture of a pink tail. So paint the town pink, send us a picture of a pink salmon tail with the appropriate spots and the correct fish. And yeah, we're going to get a little
prize.
Little surprise.
Yep, little prize for the first person who sends us that photo to support at anglersunlimited.co.
Let's see what we got.
Yep, we're excited to see it. Also, just send your favorite fish pics with a bunch of people too. Those are great. Okay, guys, we will catch you. We publish these every single Tuesday, so we'll catch you next week, same time, same place. And we are going to be talking about our experience visiting the Bonneville Dam hatchery, which was a really cool thing. So make sure you tune in to next week, and we will see you there. Thanks, everybody.
Tight line.
Bye.